feel myself just sort of getting into a trance as I'm listening to this song. The name of the group, Biomassive, here on WTCM News Talk 580's The Crystal Frost Show. Listen to this. There's something so incredibly satisfying about listening to this track and having these gentlemen in studio here from Biomassive. The track is called Earth Girls Are Easy. Let's say hello to Connor, Lindsay.
Hey, how we doing?
Great. Randall, Erno.
Hey.
And Chris Burhop.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Now, you guys are all here from northern Michigan, all different parts, Boyne City, Petoskey, living in Traverse City. But this is... I was listening to your stuff in preparation for this conversation, guys, and I don't know what it is about your sound in general, but it's so calming, and yet at the same time, it makes you want to dance. How do you do all of that together? Let's start with you, Randall. How did you end up in this group, 6 guys all together, called Biomassive, playing electronic dance music, coming from a place like Petoskey?
Well, me in particular, it's interesting. I actually managed the band for 2 years, and I just joined as a member 2 months ago.
Wow.
So I actually took a 5-year break from performing music and focused on event production and artist management, and I'm just now getting back into it. So.
Well, how about you, Connor, Lindsay? Tell me about your position here in Biomassive. What do you do? What's your background in music?
Well, I don't really have that much of a background, but Biomassive started as just a 2-piece actually in 2012. It was just a buddy of mine and me. And we just started making electronic music, and it just kind of stemmed from there as an idea. And we wanted to make, wanted to take electronic music and play it with real instruments.
Yeah.
And it just kind of grew from there. With there's a lot of amazing musicians up here in northern Michigan, so just all of our friends wanted to be a part of it, and it just grew into this huge collective.
Right. And Chris, you're a part of that collective now. How did you come to find and meet Biomassive?
Yeah, I actually went to high school with the original guitarist, and he kind of brought me into it. And one night he was just like, want to come over and jam some bass, and I came over, and that's when I met Connor, and we actually ended up playing an open mic that very same night, and I was just on board from there.
Now, you said, Connor, that you wanted to make electronic dance music with real instruments. Can you explain to the listeners what most of often electronic dance music, people have this kind of, maybe it's a misconception, but that it's all on the computer, and that you're just putting these things together meticulously, and then you play it off of a computer, and that's what it is. But that's not necessarily true, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And there is a lot of studio time that we spend doing, but our live shows are very much a lot of it's improvised, and we like to keep that element. Mm-hmm. We bounce a lot back and forth between, running a click to our drummer and sequencing and stuff like that to just completely off the cuff, and it's a lot of fun.
Now, being that when I'm listening to this, though, it's kind of like R&B meets hip hop meets jazz meets Enya.
Yeah. Shout out Enya.
Yeah, exactly. So do you think that the category, the genre of EDM, electronic dance music, is kind of that? It's if it doesn't fit into any of these other genres and it has something to do with in-studio stuff, then they just put it into this sort of collective EDM.
Yeah, it's kind of a blanket term.
Yeah. But when I think of that, I think this is dance music. But when you play a song like Earth Girls Are Easy, when you guys are sitting down to write that and to, and you're performing that, did you think this is going to be a dance song, or this is going to be more along the lines of you're at a festival and people are like, all right, the lights are going, they're getting into the groove, they're maybe having that much needed break before they get into the next fast song, right?
Yeah, it's very much so. We kind of always have the mindset of the festival, that's where we started, was playing festivals, and there's so many little grassroots Michigan festivals up here, and that's where we got our start. And with that medium, we can really do whatever we want. It's not like we're play in a bar or anything
Yeah.
like that. So that's having that outlet is, made us just kind of come up with whatever we want.
Well, let's talk about your backgrounds in music. And Connor, you mentioned you don't have much of a background, but then you said right after that, well, in 2012,
Yeah.
my friend and I decided to start this two-piece. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you kind of contradicted yourself there. How did you come to find music?
I just kind of picked up the guitar, never took any lessons or anything like that. But and then around 2011, started making electronic music, and I released like a little EP on my own. But then after that, and met Dan actually online, and we started sending projects back and forth together.
Yeah.
And he recorded guitar over top of it, and then we're like, let's start a band. This is cool.
How about you, Chris? You mentioned guitar. What else? How did you find music?
Solely like from guitar
Yeah.
originally, and I started in either like 5th or 6th grade, just playing classic rock, AC/DC, that kind of stuff, and more of a bedroom guitarist, so to speak, and didn't really play like any live shows up until I started playing with Biomassive.
But you're in 5th or 6th grade, you pick up a guitar and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to learn some AC/DC.
Right.
And then, fast forward a decade or so and you're in this touring band called Biomassive.
Yeah, it's crazy how like one little like dream can really spark like
Yeah.
an entire reality.
And Randall, you mentioned that you were managing this band. What when you go from manager to band member, do the guys still look up to you and say, "Hey, you got to do this stuff for us"?
Randall.
Very much Randall.
Well, one of my aliases is Randad, and
Yeah.
I just have this like
Randad.
I just carry this presence around me that infuriates and invigorates my friends. That I'm not afraid to use my knowledge. And yeah, but actually we have a pretty big team around us right now, and we have another person managing us, and a tour manager, and there's more people in the picture, and so I'm like trying to take a step back and be creative again, and which has been really fun. So I started out playing in like pop punk bands and toured around the country and then the world. I did like a loop show for a while where I was playing guitar and drums at the same time, and did like a world tour of that. And then basically I started getting into guitar teching, and then I toured with some pretty big bands doing that. And then I started like producing festivals, and just like I got further and further away from the dream. But I was always telling myself like, I'm getting paid to be around music. And then I just like started feeling myself therapeutically like there is nothing like actually physically playing music. Like there is no like exception anymore. So
with that kind of background, being all over the world, and then now playing all these festivals that are so, you mentioned it, Connor, that we have so many talented musicians in this state. What is it about Biomassive? What is that unique quality that you see with these guys that you said, I'm hanging up my managing hat and I'm joining this team?
I think it's like just watching them grow. Like these guys all are so adaptive to learning. Like the second they get off stage, they would turn into this 2-hour discussion of everything that could have been better. Like, so like I saw them, the last show I saw of them of the summer in October, I really saw that like they crushed it musically, and then their perseverance was really there. And I think the live element is really important for me. Like once I started understanding, because it's easy, like we have computers on stage, like anyone like could be like they were playing the tracks, but then I started hanging out with Connor and like realized like there's this very human element that like if he doesn't click these sequences of 63 buttons, then that song would not have manifested the way that it did. So I think it was part that and part just like being on the bench and being like, I want to play like this, really remembering why that was important for a while.
Right. Because I always wonder what happens to musicians when they take a step back. I mean, is there a burnout effect, do you think, when you've been touring, you were talking about looping a looped guitar and drum show, playing at the same time all over the world. I'm tired thinking about that. That's a lot of energy.
It was getting ridiculous. I was touring by myself with a full drum set and a half stack guitar rig by myself, carrying it in and out of my PT Cruiser. And plus I was doing all the booking and things like that. And I definitely got burned out, and I felt like I was writing the same. I started writing like the same song.
Yeah.
Like I like was stuck, so stuck, and I tried everything I could. Like it was like the worst writer's block. I had to step away.
Yeah, had to.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the writing process, because you guys have a brand new EP called New Organic coming out, and that track, Earth Girls Are Easy, that we played a part of at the beginning of this conversation, is a part of that EP. Chris, can you tell us what does it look like to write a piece of music that maybe other musicians might be baffled by when you're doing something so meticulous and so technologically advanced as EDM?
Right. It really starts with just a little idea, and it's crazy how it starts. Like for instance, Connor has on his computer, he has thousands, if not millions, of like little just sounds and noises, and he just finds one that he likes more, or that we all kind of click on, and we just expand from there.
Yeah. And what, do you hear something in your mind and then you go, all right, I have to layer this. It's like baking a cake almost,
baking a cake. It's exactly like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, can you just maybe walk me through what, when you are recording and actually getting ready to do this EP, what, you have to sort of take the listener somewhere with this. They're going to push play, and they're not going to leave until this is over. What kind of journey? How do you get them there?
It's very much not so much the normal recording process where like a band comes in and plugs in and records an album in a studio. A lot of these songs were recorded like in our houses, or like, just around in like the accessibility of recording now. We've written these like, and it's this album is very much like it was recorded over a long period of time, almost 2 years ago actually, and we've just kind of finally putting the finishing touches on it. But so it's definitely it's not like a one-time thing where we all go into the studio and record. It's a long time coming for this.
Well, let's talk about where you're going, because you have so many tour dates. You've got this new EP.
Yeah.
Where are you headed? Where's Biomassive headed? And let's also mention the other members of your band too before we forget about them. Who else is in the band, Randall?
We call him Skunky Earl. His name's
As
Shannon
you do.
Williams. Ben Weiler plays keyboard for us, and we call him Z, Matt Zimmerman. He's our drummer.
All right. So 6 guys, Biomassive. Where are you headed? I mean, you have tons of festival dates, but even beyond that this summer, where are you headed?
Yeah. Yesterday we just announced a bunch of dates. Our next show will be at Shakespeare's in Kalamazoo on the 22nd of February, and then the 23rd will be in Ann Arbor. But
actually, Ann Arbor's on the 21st.
Or the 21st.
There's that Randad that we all love. The manager is strong with this one.
But we're going all the way up to Marquette and down to Ohio
and Alaska, Michigan.
Yeah,
yep. My favorite.
Can't wait. That's going to be a great one.
Yeah.
But this is just a little bit of we're still sending emails, and we're going to fill these dates out, and it's going to be the biggest year yet for us. We're going to be all over the place.
That is so cool. Do you guys have jobs outside of this, or have you taken the leap? This is my career now.
I think half the band.
Half the band?
Fully taking that leap.
Yeah.
I still do event management. So I'm going to tear down the Super Bowl. I just built the inauguration of the governor of Illinois. And I do that all remotely now in the van.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
What did you think about Fire Festival?
I was following it very closely.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Blink-182 fan with my pop punk roots, so anything they're doing,
Did you? So, I mean, I was following it too when it was going on, and we started seeing these pictures, and I was like, oh, what's happening? This is so uncomfortable. And then I watched the Netflix documentary. Haven't watched Hulu yet, but Netflix. And I had to like stop and take breaks because I was like, oh, I can't believe this is going on.
Yeah.
Just the tiny little event planning that I do. Mm-hmm. Did you hyperventilate when you were watching this?
Yeah, I've had a lot of bad experiences with former employers and associates that weren't far from that. So
wow.
I've definitely sat at a collapsed music festival calculating that there's not paychecks for everyone and involved, and it's
wow,
terrible feeling. But yeah, I mean, just shame on him for putting people's lives in jeopardy.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that that people are holding him accountable.
I'm so glad that we were able to talk about this moment together.
Festivals are brutal.
I was like, oh.
I couldn't stop thinking about Randall watching that whole documentary.
Did
I
you?
was
You
just
couldn't
like,
stop
"Jeez,
either.
oh, Pete."
Well, and even as musicians, we were all like, oh, what's going on here?
It's sad, and we've experienced it as musicians.
You
too,
have,
growing
yeah.
up and seen a crashed festival, and
Oh man. Oh.
grown men have looked me in the eyes with tears in their face that you never thought
Wow.
you'd see that side. But facing $50,000+ in debt will do that to you.
Festivals are brutal.
I would assume so. So, getting back to your non-brutal, fantastic EP, because you guys, you're the real deal. New Organic is the name of it, and can we play another track?
Yeah, go for it.
What do you want to hear?
You can play the title track, New Organic.
New Organic, here it is. And once again, Biomassive. If people want to find out more about you, they can follow you on social media, I'm sure.
Yep.
Do you have a website?
We do biomassiveband.com.
Easy to know. Thank you so much, Connor, Lindsay, Randall, Erno, Chris Burhop, also Skunky Earl, Ben Wilder, and Matt Zimmerman. Thank you so much for being with us today,
Thanks
guys.
for having
you
us.
so
We really
much.
appreciate it.